Recently, many people have been discussing the Chinese government's restrictions on technical personnel and related sensitive technologies entering India, with even Foxconn employees being denied approval to work in India. Some ask, if China dislikes being technologically sanctioned by the US, why would it in turn sanction India? Actually, this story is quite interesting. And you might not believe it, but it was the Indian government that first sanctioned China, and it was a comprehensive sanction with significant force. The trade volume between China and India has soared over the past decade, mainly due to India importing goods from China. So when the US launched a trade war against China, Modi believed his moment to perform had arrived. The Indian government closely followed the US in military and diplomatic fields, engaged in military standoffs with China at the border, and joined the Quad security dialogue specifically targeting China. Moreover, the Indian government, without any legal basis, banned a large number of Chinese apps, including TikTok, causing severe losses. Despite this, Modi was still unsatisfied. He even ordered the Indian government to halt direct flights between China and India and generally refused to issue visas to Chinese citizens. Chinese companies like Xiaomi and Vivo, which couldn't withdraw from India in time, were often harassed by the Indian government, fined, and their earnings were not allowed to be transferred back to China. Facing such a rogue, the Chinese government has also attempted to negotiate. But Modi, full of confidence, refused to make any concessions. When I saw these news reports, I thought it hard to understand. As a country with 1.4 billion people that has not yet completed industrialization, the fastest way to develop is to maintain good relations with the world's factory, China, for win-win cooperation. India provides the market and human resources, while China provides capital and technology. Together, they can expand the cake and make money. Isn't that great? The Indian tech company Paytm once received investment from China's Alibaba, achieving a win-win situation. However, Modi is not good at building. He is good at destroying. A few years after taking office, he clearly aligned with the US, playing the role of the US's watchdog in the competition between China and the US. Although he has received a few bones as rewards, it has not brought any substantial benefits to India. On the contrary, due to his excessive closeness to the West, he not only ruined relations with China, but also damaged relations with Russia. After completing comprehensive negotiations with ASEAN, China, Japan, South Korea, Australia, and New Zealand, India refused to sign the RCEP agreement, isolating itself from the world's largest free trade agreement. At the same time, within organizations like the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, and the BRICS, India has shown a negative response and a cold confrontational attitude towards China, severely undermining the prestige of these international organizations. Meanwhile, Modi has been boasting everywhere that the 21st century is India's century, and India will replace China as the world's manufacturing center. If you want to succeed, you must invest in India. Western media have also praised India, hailing it as the next superpower. Thus, the revival of Bharat has become one of the most popular topics in Indian media, with these programs invariably belittling China and boasting about India's bright future. However, in fact, despite India's unilateral sanctions, the trade volume between China and India continues to rise rapidly, with India contributing $100 billion in trade surplus to China annually. Previously, one had to go abroad, take great risks, possibly be extorted by the Indian government, to explore the market. By land, build factories, and influence the market in India to make money, which might not even be brought back home, and the technology could be seized by the Indian government at any time. But after India unilaterally severed links with China, the Chinese were surprised to find that India's imports from China surged. Now, without going abroad, products can be sold to India, boosting domestic employment and earning dollars. Such a good story was actually provided by the Indian government for Chinese merchants. The selflessness of the Bharat Empire is truly admirable, and Modi is indeed the hope for the revival of the Bharat Empire. Many are curious, since India has not joined the RCEP, does not allow Chinese people to enter India, and has shut down Chinese apps, can't Indian local enterprises fill the gap and develop rapidly? Yes, if India were an industrialized country, this could happen. But the boastful PPTs, models, and animations that Emperor Modi of the Bharat Empire sees are all lies carefully woven by various levels of the Indian government and enterprises. Forget about high-tech products like drones, robotic dogs, and power batteries. India can't even produce the simplest parts and screws. Indian products are either of poor quality or too costly. If only local products were used, India might very well regress to the Stone Age. After Modi sent someone to assassinate a Canadian Sikh leader, the Biden administration felt that the dignity of the United States was severely violated. But Modi, for the sake of face, refused to admit his mistake and confronted Canada head-on. There is an old Chinese saying, "When you hit a dog, you have to look at its master." Especially since Canada is not the US's dog. It is the 51st state of the US, an Anglo-Saxon sibling. In their eyes, India is the real watchdog. As a watchdog, if you dare to bite your master, you are destined to be punished. So the US government investigated Modi's financier Adani, released Modi's scandals, and simultaneously, Wall Street and Western capital began to short India significantly, lowering expectations for India's economic growth. As a result, India's economy showed a noticeable slowdown at the end of the year, and Modi panicked. This man, known as the toughest in the world, had no ability to resist after being beaten by his American master. He had to adjust his foreign policy, ordering his servant Jaishankar to communicate with China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi, attempting to ease Sino-Indian relations. As the competition between China and the US is extremely intense at the moment, a critical time for both sides' tech and economic wars, the Chinese government is also willing to ease relations with India. So both sides disengaged at the border, easing the tense atmosphere. But if the Modi government wants to further improve Sino-Indian relations, that's wishful thinking. Because the Bharat Empire has been blacklisted by China and can never become China's friend. As long as Modi is in power, China will never cooperate with India. Because the Modi government is the least credible government in the world, and dealing with such a government, non-aggression is the highest form of etiquette. The Chinese government has already drawn up a list. High-tech technologies such as electric vehicles, power batteries, drones, robotic dogs, and tunnel boring machines are not allowed to be exported to India. Indians want to buy products? Pay in dollars. Want technology? Keep dreaming. Actually, now is the time for the Bharat Empire to prove itself. Didn't you say that the prosperity of US technology is due to the contributions of Indian IT talents? Now that you have lost the support of the US, as well as China and Russia, it's time for you to produce technological products and prove your strength. Don't consider that your average IQ is more than 20 points lower than Chinese. I don't believe those statistics. Come on, fans of Bharat, show me, don't just talk. When China, the US, and Russia reach a compromise on interests, your bad days will truly begin.